Well, this is not going to be a surprise, but Georgia spends more on recruiting than any other school in the country. Stop me if you think that's news to you. $4.5 million. That's $1.5 million more than any other Power Five school during that period. That's according to the Athens Banner Herald, who got that reporting done on Wednesday. Um, I think this is the reason why you're seeing, well, just as an example, an additional couple of national championships for Georgia. If you like this sweatshirt, the link is down below from our friends at Red Zone over on Clayton Street in Athens downtown. Um, I'm not surprised by this. I think it's really good reporting from Mark Weiser over the Athens Banner Herald. The second closest team, just from Mark's reporting, it goes Georgia at 4.5 million, A&M at not quite 3 million, uh, Tennessee at not quite 3 million, Texas at 2.4 million, Alabama at 2.3 million, and Michigan at 2.2 million. Nobody else, according to Mark's reporting, was over 1.85 million. It's surprising slightly to me that Ohio State is not in this bunch, but because they have effectively recruited. uh, I gotta say, you're talking about okay, if you're looking at this in terms of business, and you say how much is Georgia's athletic department budget? Let's just use round numbers here, okay? So before COVID, it was about $180 million, right? So $180 million. Now, not all of that is football, right? So let's just say $150 million of total expenditures, which is really, really high. Okay, that's not really what it is, but let's just say that's what it is. And let's say that Georgia spent 5 million, so that we're using round numbers. That would mean that Georgia's cost of acquisition of products is about 3% of their total, revenue and so forth. That's the cost of goods, for lack of a better term. That's a really, really like caveman way to look at it, but I can assure you that it's not 3% in most businesses, okay? And those of you who are in business understand that. For instance, this shirt, right? Or this sweatshirt, excuse me. This sweatshirt is not 3% of what they're the cost of the sweatshirt is not 3%. I can assure you of that. So, what at the end of the day does that really mean for Georgia when they are spending almost double almost double what everybody else is at. If Texas A&M is at not quite 3, Georgia is at 50% higher. Okay, which is not double, but 50% higher than A&M. They had nearly double of what Alabama and Michigan did. So it can't be surprising that the results are starting to come in that way. Now, the other thing too that's important to keep in mind here is just because you spend the money doesn't mean you're going to get results. But I have to tell you, I have to say, Georgia, Bama, and Texas A&M in the class we're talking about here definitely got results. I mean, Texas A&M got results in a very big way, and they spent about, like I said, 50% fewer dollars than the Dogs. Speaking of Georgia, make sure you're picking up double dogs if you've not seen this before. We just had more than 500,000 people in just dog post content this past month. We grew 52% year over year in that month. So more than 500,000 people. So we get a lot of new people every single day. Make sure you're picking up double dogs so you don't get so far behind in line that it's going to take me a while to get you the book. There is a cycle with this stuff. Right now, the books are on order. I don't know how many they can print at once, but I can assure you the first printing of it is not going to get the job done because I know how many orders have already been out there. So sign up for it today. Get it today. The link is down below. I think that it is somewhat, and I would want to get into the numbers a little bit more, but it would be somewhat a bargain to have, quote, only spent 4.5 million on the acquisition of your goods. That does not, so putting it in business terms, if you're just saying, oh, the cost of goods is $4.5 million, you don't have to do anything else with it, That's not really what's going on in these college football programs. I think we all understand that, right? But I'm just saying that if it really was 4.5 and your budget was $150 million, 3% to acquire something, even if you have to develop it, that is a heck of a bargain, just in straight business terms. Now, I don't know in the future um, if this pace is going to continue versus the revenue. My suspicion is that it will at Georgia, and here's why. You are seeing press releases from Josh Brooks and athletics. You're seeing notes from Jerry Moorhead and the university talk is explaining the situation at Georgia. Georgia has created more revenue because they've been winning more. The exposure that Georgia has gotten has been significant over the last really 6 years, playing in the national championship game 3 times. So half of the time in the last 6 years, Georgia has played in the national championship. I think only Alabama can say that. Maybe Clemson, maybe. Did they play for it? They did not play for it in 17. So Clemson only did it twice. Alabama did it in 17, 18, 20, and 21. So Bama has done it 4 times, Georgia 3, Clemson twice. Has anybody else played for it more than twice? I don't think so. Um, yeah, Clemson played for it twice. So anyway, the point is that I'm getting confused after pre-17 and post-17. Um, the point is that the number one thing that happens in collegiate athletics is recruiting. I mean, in terms of revenue, it's television contracts. The SEC today talked about the distribution of about, I think I don't want to get the number wrong, about $50 million per SEC school. Now, that only includes distribution from the SEC itself. So, what does that mean? That does not include local television rights or local media rights, excuse me, stuff like that. So, the deal with Nike, which is coming up soon, that Georgia's got. All of these things aggregated $50 million, but that's on average cost. That is down slightly for the SEC. There's a couple of reasons. I don't want to get into the reason for that. Some of it was because folks borrowed. It was suggested that the league is like the financial crisis in 808 when everybody is around the table and says, "Hey, we really want you to borrow this money." The SEC essentially said that to everybody in 2020, whether they wanted to borrow it or not. Some schools really needed the money. Georgia, I think, was not in the position where they had to really take the money, but they took it. So, long story short, all of that to say this, you know, $50 million of Georgia's, let's just call it $150 million of revenue and expenses revenue. Uh, so a third comes from the television rights. That's going to go up. That's going to go up about $21 million. I have to do the math a little bit better. It's going to go up relatively higher. It could go up significantly higher than that 21. It could get closer to 30, which would get you around 80 to 85 million, not just slightly shy of $90 million. It could do that. Stay tuned. But so I say all that. Recruiting is the reason you become good. Recruiting is the reason you become good. It is hard to win with people like me out there playing tight end when you can go get Darnell and Brock and Oscar Delp. Okay. You want game changers. The way to do that is to attract them to your campus. And when they're on your campus, don't leave any stone unturned. These numbers, by the way, when everyone starts talking about NIL deals, look, y'all, this doesn't include any of that stuff. The schools can't pay that. And in addition, that stuff is sort of over. I'm just, that stuff is really kind of misunderstood / overblown, I have to tell you. Um, and it's not handled by the schools anyway. It's handled by the so-called collectives. So there's a lot of stuff when you look at these things that why is Georgia X? Why is Georgia that? Why are they spending so much money on recruiting? Because it works. It's marketing. they're saying, oh, well, we're spending on recruiting. Well, they're spending it on marketing. They're spending on the marketing and acquisition of players. They didn't have to do that with Stetson. He was already there. But, Tennessee did have to do that with this linebacker right here. Okay, I'm fairly certain that that was the case. Tennessee has been smart lately. Tennessee has been smart lately. They have gotten a coach that is a functional person. I don't know how long it will continue, but the number one way to win is to continue to recruit and develop. And the number one way to do that is to spend money on recruiting. You see these helicopters, the planes. It's not inexpensive to go to, Arizona to get Keeley, go to Vegas to get Darnell, go to Fresno, and then, for Kendall, and then Brock Bowers is in Napa. These things add up. Now those are only thousands of dollars to make those flights and so forth. It's travel. It's the other stuff. It's getting people on campus. It's the consistent marketing to players. This is the number one thing. The basics of this is you have to win. That is like the 40,000 foot view thing. But the 4 foot view is it takes a lot of time, effort, and money to do all this stuff. And Georgia folks, Georgia fans, people who are interested in buying, this sweatshirt from Red Zone, buying double dogs from, the link down below, they should be happy that Georgia is doing these things because it is the precursor to being successful. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the website.